Hello again. This lesson is a review lesson. We'll review the uses of the present tense and the present continuous tense. At the same time, we will focus on some new verbs and vocabulary items. First, look at this diagram. It shows both tenses related to similar uses. Okay? So, affirmative, Raul usually exchanges money every month. He is exchanging some now. And now, negative statements. Raul doesn't make deposits every month. He isn't making a deposit now. Questions, yes and no. Do the bank officers treat their clients politely? Are they treating them nicely now? And then WH questions. What does Rita do in New York? Or what is she doing now? Note, the first example in each of those groups uses a simple present verb. The second uses present continuous. All right? Let's begin our review with some easy questions. Look at the graphic. Deposit, treat, means to act toward. Exchange, build. Audit means to count, as in account, and it also means to listen to. Withdraw, use, reconcile means to compare successfully, right? All right, these verbs can all be used in a banking environment. Environment means location. So let's do a practice. I'll say a proper noun, a name, or a pronoun, and I will also say a verb. And you say two questions, one in the present tense and one using present continuous tense. Not so hard, and it's kind of interesting. Remember to use time expressions. They will help. So, I say he and deposit, and you do. Does he often deposit money in the bank, or does he deposit money in the bank? That's one kind. And then, is he depositing money in the bank now? Present continuous. Okay? Let's try another. The bankers treat. Do the bankers usually treat their clients well, politely, nicely? And are they treating their clients well now? Good. Let's go. He, deposit. Does he often deposit money in the bank? Good. Is he depositing money in the bank now? The key is now, right? Okay. The bankers treat. Do the bankers treat their clients well? Are they treating their clients well now? Perfect. Let's go. She exchange. Does she exchange money on Fridays, every day, something like that? And is she exchanging money now or right now? Good. They build. Do they regularly build on their reputation? Or do they regularly build houses? Okay. Are they building houses now? Are they building their savings accounts now? That's good. Hideo, use. Does Hideo ever use the ATM or the automatic teller machine? And is he using the ATM now? That's very good. The customer means buyer. The customer reconcile. Yeah, that's tough. Does the customer reconcile his bank account regularly? Okay. And now? is he reconciling his bank account now? Good. The bank teller, audit. Does the bank teller always audit his accounts? And now? Is he auditing his accounts now? Or is she auditing her accounts now? That's good and tough. So let's maybe try an exercise now. Okay, in the exercise we will continue the use of both present and present continuous tenses, complete sentences. The point of this exercise is for you to complete the sentences with negative verb forms. For example, you'll see they blank deposit money in their account every day. Every day is a signal there, right? And you write, they don't deposit money in their account every day. Or you will see Hideo and Yukiko blank reconcile their checkbooks now. Now is the key. Hideo and Yukiko aren't reconciling their checkbooks now. Not so tough and kind of interesting. Okay? So put your program on pause, look at your study guide, and please continue the exercise. Let's review that exercise. These were verbs in both present and present continuous tense sentences. You saw they blank deposit money in their account every day, and you wrote they don't deposit money in their account every day. Next, Hideo and Yukiko aren't reconciling their checkbooks now, and the bankers don't usually treat their customers badly. He doesn't exchange his dollars on Wednesday. Maria doesn't withdraw money from her account every month. She isn't auditing her bank statement right this minute. Hideo and Yukiko don't usually treat their clients badly. Most customers don't build on their savings accounts. They aren't using their savings right now. The bankers aren't auditing their daily activity now. That's good. Hello again. In this lesson, we'll take up another English verb tense, the past continuous tense. It's easy. But right now, let me mention 2 grammar points. Mention means to talk about, right? First, I said we will take up another English verb tense. Take up is another good example of a 2-word verb, or what we call phrasal verb. In an earlier lesson, I told you that take up means consider or think about. We use a lot of phrasal verbs in English. Second, the verb tense for this lesson, the past continuous tense, is really quite easy. It's very simple, and it's very similar to the present continuous tense. It's formed similarly. It's used for a continuing action, and the main verb is also formed with ing. Listen carefully. I will describe an imaginary situation. An imaginary situation is make-believe or unreal. Listen. The airport scare. Several people were waiting in the international airport yesterday. Some people were waiting to check their bags. Some were waiting to purchase airline tickets. Many were waiting to board their flights. A few people were having drinks at the bar. Some were eating in the cafeteria, and some were dozing in their seats in the waiting room. Suddenly, the security police arrived. They ordered everyone to evacuate the airport building. Okay? Evacuate means to leave. Now, before I read this imaginary situation again, I want to introduce you to the verbs in the passage. Look at the verbs. Here they are in the graphic. Wait and waiting plus verb. Waiting to go, waiting to check, waiting to purchase, waiting to board. Check. Purchase. Board. Have with food and drink. Eat. Doze. Arrive. Order. And evacuate. So I told you we have waiting with the verb, waiting to go, waiting to purchase, but we have having with a noun, having drinks. Okay? All right, I'll read the passage one more time, this time emphasizing the past continuous verb forms. The airport scare. Several people were waiting in the international airport yesterday. Some people were waiting to check their bags. Some were waiting to purchase airline tickets. Many were waiting to board their flights. A few people were having drinks at the bar. Some were eating in the cafeteria, and some were dozing in their seats in the waiting room. Suddenly, the security police arrived. They ordered everyone to evacuate the airport building. Okay. Notice that all of the verb forms are plural, were, and notice that just as the present continuous is made of a be verb and another verb, so is the past continuous. Look at this graphic. Continuous tenses, present, now. I am waiting in the airport now. Past, yesterday. I was waiting in the airport yesterday, too. As I said, it is an easily formed verb tense. In the case of the past continuous tense, the past be verb forms are used. Look at this graphic. I was waiting. You were waiting. She, he, it was waiting, we were waiting, and they were waiting. All right? Now we are ready to practice this form orally, which means you've got to speak aloud. And one question we might ask about the airport scene is, what was happening? What was going on? Notice, was happening, was going on. Two-word verb, but in any case, past continuous tense. For this practice, I will ask you about imaginary people in the imaginary airport situation. Sometimes I will give them names, sometimes I won't. And you will answer with any of the activities in the passage on screen. It's quite easy, but fairly interesting. For example, what were some of the people doing in the airport yesterday? You could say they were waiting to purchase airline tickets, or they were having a drink at the bar. Got the picture? Okay, let's try this. What were some of the people doing in the airport yesterday? They were having a drink at the bar. Great. What was William doing in the airport yesterday? He was waiting to check his bags. Or he was dozing in his seat. Good. What was Maya doing in the airport yesterday? She was eating in the cafeteria. Good. What were you doing in the airport yesterday? I was waiting to buy an airline ticket. I was waiting to board my flight. Okay. What were they doing in the airport yesterday? They were waiting to board their flights, or they were sending email in the internet cafe. What were Hideo and Yukiko doing in the airport? They were eating in the cafeteria, or they were reading their email in the internet cafe. What were some people doing in the airport? Yeah, some people were dozing in their seats. That's great. Good job. All right, let's go to the exercise, and we'll continue working on this past continuous tense. You'll see a list of activities and the times that Maria did these activities yesterday. Your job, write the sentences with past continuous tense verbs. All right? So, for example, you'll see at 7 o'clock had breakfast. And you'll write, Maria was having breakfast at 7 o'clock. Or, at 7 o'clock, Maria was having breakfast. Both are good. Here's another example. You'll see, at noon, ate lunch. And you will write, Maria was eating lunch at noon, or Maria was eating lunch at midday. Same story. Okay, pause your program, look at your study guide, and please do the exercise. Then come back here. Let's review that exercise. You were making sentences with Maria, right? And past continuous tense. You saw the prompt at 7 o'clock and had breakfast, and you wrote, Maria was having breakfast at 7 o'clock. Next, Maria was eating lunch at noon, or 12 o'clock. Maria was taking a nap at 3. Maria was reading a newspaper at 10 o'clock in the morning. At midnight, Maria was sleeping soundly, or Maria was sleeping soundly at midnight. Next, Maria was having dinner at 8 in the evening. Maria was washing some clothes at 4. And Maria was watching television at 6 o'clock. Very good. Hi there. In this lesson, we will use the past continuous tense from a new perspective. Perspective means point of view. This perspective is the use of the past continuous tense as a background action. It is a background action for a more important action, just like the background in a stage. Look at this diagram. The past continuous tense can provide background action for another more important past tense action. Background action, Ronaldo was waiting for his flight. Most important action, when the accident occurred. Past continuous, and then past tense, main action. The children were having breakfast when the alarm clock went off. I was having a drink at the bar when they announced my flight. Yukiko was waiting to board her flight when the bankers called. It was raining very hard when the airplane finally took off. The girls were checking their bags when the flight departed. Oh dear, they missed it. Note, in each of these sentences, there are really two sentences, or clauses, we call them, right? One clause contains the background verb. Ronaldo was waiting for his flight. One clause contains the main event, when the accident occurred. The first action is continuous, therefore kind of like a background, and the second action is short, happens quickly. All right, Look at the clauses in this graphic. I was waiting to board my flight. They were having tea. We were waiting in line. Each of these clauses prepares for another clause, which will complete the sentence, which will provide really the main event. Now look at the completing clauses. They provide the main action. When the accident occurred. I was waiting to board my flight when the accident occurred. When the bell rang. They were having tea when the bell rang. And when the flight left. We were waiting in line when the flight left. All right. So let's do a little practice. This practice is fairly easy and it's fun. I'll say a main action in the simple past tense, and you must provide the background action. Then you must put both actions into one sentence. Sounds complicated, but it's not bad. Here's an example. I will say when the accident occurred, and you will look on the screen to look at the appropriate material for background information. I was waiting for my flight when the accident occurred. Or they were checking their bags when the accident occurred. All right? Let's try another one. When the flight departed. So we were having a drink when the flight departed, and we missed the flight. Or Yukiko was using the ATM when the flight departed, and she missed the flight. All right? Let's try these now. When the accident occurred, I was waiting for my flight when the accident occurred. Great. When the flight departed, she was using the ATM when the flight departed. Very good. When the scare happened, they were eating in the cafeteria when the scare happened, right? They were checking their bags when the scare happened. Good. When the police arrived. Okay, we were eating in the cafeteria when the police arrived. When they canceled the flight. Yes, I was waiting to check my bags when they canceled the flight. When they evacuated the building. She was reading a magazine when they evacuated the building. Okay. When the bomb scare occurred. They were dozing in their seats when the bomb scare occurred. When Hideo arrived. Yukiko was checking her bags when Hideo arrived. That's good. Here are some hints for spelling ing verb forms. You'll see the main verb ending form and the ing verb form. So wait and eat, note 2 vowels and 1 consonant, AI and T, and EA and T. Add ing, very simple. Waiting, eating. Depart and check. 2 consonants, right? RT and CK. Just add ing. Departing and checking. Have and reconcile. Now there is a consonant plus E, VE and LE. So we replace the E with ing. And stop, run, 1 vowel, 1 consonant, OP and UN. We add a consonant and then ing. So stop, stopping, and run, running. There you have it. Now an exercise. You'll have a chance to practice spelling ing verbs, of course. At the same time, you'll practice your past continuous verb forms. You will see a list of sentences with blanks. Next to each blank, you'll see a verb. Your task is to fill in the correct form of the verb in the past continuous tense. Not bad. Pay attention to spelling. Let's try these examples. Hideo, blank, reconcile his account. You will write, Hideo was reconciling his account, right? Past continuous tense. Okay. Or you will see, for example, the bankers, blank, treat their clients very kindly. And you will write, the bankers were treating their clients very kindly. Okay? Good. Now, pause your program, look at the study guide, and please do the exercise. Then return here. Let's review that exercise. We're doing past continuous verbs, right? So you saw Hideo, blank, reconcile his account, and you made it past continuous by writing Hideo was reconciling his account. Okay. Next, the bankers were treating their clients very kindly. Maria was exchanging her money at the teller's window. The travelers were waiting to check their bags. Raul was having a drink at the bar when the flight arrived. Our friends were eating pizza in the cafeteria when the flight departed. They were practicing their English with the waiter. Both passengers were running to the gate when the flight left. Masayo was using the ATM when the security police arrived. And the visitors were arriving from Cairo when the airport closed. That's a great job. Hello there. In this lesson, we will finish working with the past continuous tense, at least for now. We will also focus upon more sentences containing two different tense clauses. And then we will learn verbs which don't normally occur in the present or the past continuous tenses. First, two sentences with two clauses. We began studying these types of sentences in the last lesson. Look at the two sentences in the graphic. Both sentences contain the same clauses. The boys were waiting in line when the flight departed. When the flight departed, the boys were waiting in line. Both sentences are correct. Each contains a past continuous verb form, were waiting, and each contains a past verb form, departed. Only the sequence of the clauses is different in each sentence. Sequence means order. Now, look at the third sentence. The boys, when the flight departed, were waiting in line. The difference here is that one clause is placed inside another clause. In fact, the main clause, or the main action of the sentence, is interrupted by the when clause. Listen to my voice when I say it again. The boys, when the flight departed, were waiting in line. For right now, we don't care, in this case, care means worry about, we don't care or worry about it because all of these sentences mean essentially the same thing. Each sentence emphasizes something a little differently. Emphasize means make important, right? Notice that the first sentence has no punctuation, between clauses. Punctuation means grammar marks, commas, etc. That's because the first sentence has its clauses in normal order. No punctuation. Main clause followed by time clause. Time clauses are adverbial clauses, right? They modify verbs. In the second sentence, the main clause occurs out of order. It's last. The comma or punctuation indicates this change in order. When the flight departed, the boys were waiting in line. Okay? And the third sentence is the most abnormal of all because, as I said, the adverb clause is put right in between the sentence. The main clause is separated by that adverbial clause, and two commas, one on each side, indicate the separation. One thing to remember, when you separate a main clause, you must separate it here between the subject and the verb. Okay, now let's practice these verb tense combinations, past continuous tense with simple past tense. And let's also practice these three different subordinate clause positions. Subordinate means less important, right? So initial means first, final means last, and medial means in between, middle, right? Okay, listen. Initial. When the flight departed, the boys were waiting in line. The adverb clause is in the initial position. And the second one, medial, right? The boys, when the flight departed, were waiting in line, right in the middle. And then the final, the boys were waiting in line when the flight departed. Okay, in this practice, I will say the past tense clause with when, and you will put it into a complete sentence with a past continuous tense clause. Okay, sounds a little tricky, but it's not bad. Look at this graphic. The boys were waiting in line. The men were checking their bags. Yukiko was using her debit card at the ATM. Raul was having a drink at the bar. Maya was reading a book. Hideo was surfing the World Wide Web, or the web. Okay? Now, I'll say, when the flight departed, and the boys, and you make the sentence. When the flight departed, the boys were waiting in line, or were using their credit card. You get the picture. And here's the second variety. You put the adverb clause at the end. So that becomes, the boys were waiting in line when the flight departed. Right? And last variety, right in the middle. The boys, when the flight departed, were waiting in line. A little tricky, but kind of fun. Let's try another one. When the police arrived, the men. First one. When the police arrived, the men were checking their bags. Were having a drink at the bar. Okay? Now let's put it reversed. The men were checking their bags when the police arrived. And let's put it in the middle. The men, when the police arrived, were checking their bags. Okay? Let's try them now. Here we go again. When the flight departed, the boys. When the flight departed, the boys were waiting in line. Perfect. And now, the boys were waiting in line when the flight departed. In the middle, yeah, the boys, when the flight departed, were waiting in line. Great. Another one, when the police arrived, the men. Yes, when the police arrived, the men were checking their bags. Great, now reverse them. Precisely, the men were checking their bags when the police arrived. In the middle, yes, the men, when the police arrived, were checking their bags. That's great. One more. When the alarm went off, Yukiko. When the alarm went off, Yukiko was using her debit card, checking her bags. Okay? And now reverse those. Yes, Yukiko was using her debit card when the alarm went off. And now in the middle, yeah, Yukiko, when the alarm went off, was using her debit card. Great and tough. Here's another one. When the bomb scare occurred, Raoul. Easy. When the bomb scare occurred, Raoul was having a drink at the bar. Reverse them. Perfect. Raoul was having a drink at the bar when the bomb scare occurred. And in the middle. A little tough. Raoul, when the bomb scare occurred, was having a drink at the bar. And finally, an easy one. When the airport closed, Maya. Okay, when the airport closed, Maya was having a drink at the bar. Or Maya was reading a book. Let's reverse those. Maya was reading a book when the airport closed. Beautiful. And now inside, Maya, when the airport closed, was reading a book. That is really good work. Look at this graphic, because here are some verbs that are not used in continuous tenses, present or past. You need to know them, and they're fairly simple and easy to categorize. The following verbs are not normally used in the continuous tenses. So you've got emotions, like hate, like, love, need, want. And then you have verbs of senses, like hear, see, smell, taste. And then you have verbs of, let's say, thoughts. So believe, know, think, understand. In many cases, the restrictions for these verbs are a matter of common use. It's hard to explain these restrictions. It's hard to explain common use, right? Sorry. But the restrictions exist. Okay. Let's try an exercise. And you'll have to discriminate between verbs that can use continuous tenses and the ones I just showed you. So in the exercise, you'll decide if the verb can be used in the past continuous tense, or if it must be restricted to past tense. And remember, the restricted verbs fall into these three categories: emotions, senses, or thoughts. In the exercise in your study guide, you will see sentences which need past tense verbs. Each sentence will have a blank for the correct verb form. The main verb will appear in parentheses. If the verb can be continuous past, write it in that form. If it cannot, simple past. Okay? Here's an example. You will see they blank taste the spaghetti. Taste, verb of sense, be careful, right? So you will write they tasted the spaghetti. No continuous tense with taste. Here's another example. You will see the bankers blank treat their clients quite nicely. And you will write the bankers were treating their clients quite nicely. Okay? Remember, if you can use the verb naturally in the past continuous, then let's use it. Okay? So put your program on pause, look at the study guide, and continue the exercise. I'll see you when you finish. Let's review that exercise. You saw they, a blank, the verb taste, and the spaghetti. And you wrote the sentence, they tasted the spaghetti. Taste is a verb of sense. You can't make a past continuous out of that, or you shouldn't. Next one, the bankers were treating their clients quite nicely. Then Hideo was exchanging his yen when the police arrived. Next, Maria heard the alarm go off. Here is a verb of sense, so we use just past tense. Next, Maria and Yukiko hated the bomb scare at the airport. Verb of emotion, just a past tense. Next, two children were waiting to board their airplane, and the police were evacuating the airport, and they wanted to protect the passengers. Want is one of those emotional things, right? So, simple past. Next, the airport personnel were cleaning the waiting area, and finally, they needed to finish their work before morning. Need, also a desire, emotion, simple past. That's good. Hello again. Earlier in learning English, we studied some uses of the verb have. It's a very important verb in English. In this lesson, we will study some more uses for the verb. Look at this illustration. In English, we use have and have got very similarly. Both expressions show possession. We have new checkbooks. We've got new checkbooks. We have, we've got new checkbooks. Raul has a bank account. He's got a bank account. Note these following question forms and their answers. Have you got a new checkbook? Yes, I have. Do you have a new checkbook? Yes, I do. Have you a new checkbook? Yes, I have. Again, has she got a bank account? Yes, she has. Does she have a bank account? Yes, she does. Has she a bank account? Yes, she has. And the negative forms, we haven't got any traveler's checks. We don't have any traveler's checks. We haven't any traveler's checks. And she hasn't got any money. She doesn't have any money. She hasn't any money. All right, two things to remember. In the past, we don't use got. I don't know why. When she was young, Zora had very blonde hair. Have, that's it. And in past questions and negatives, we usually use did, didn't, and have. Right? Past again. We didn't have a car in Cairo. All right. Now, look at the sentences in the graphic. They make use of three forms of have and have got. In questions, has Yukiko got any money? Does she have a bank account? Has she a bank card? In our practice, I'm going to provide a sentence, and your job will be to make three questions just like that. So here's the sentence. Yukiko has a lot of money. And you will make three different questions. Has Yukiko got a lot of money? Does Yukiko have a lot of money? Has Yukiko a lot of money? That's good. Has got, does have, and has. Let's try another one. Hideo has airline tickets to Japan. Has. Has Hideo got airline tickets to Japan? Does Hideo have airline tickets to Japan? And has Hideo airline tickets to Japan? Okay, pretty easy. Now let's try them. Here we go. Yukiko has a lot of money. Has Yukiko got a lot of money? Does Yukiko have a lot of money? Has Yukiko a lot of money? Perfect. Hideo has airline tickets to Japan. Yes. Has Hideo got airline tickets to Japan? Does Hideo have airline tickets to Japan? And has Hideo airline tickets to Japan? Perfect. Let's try these. The passengers have some traveler's checks. Have the passengers got traveler's checks or got any traveler's checks? Do they have any traveler's checks? Yeah, good. And have they any traveler's checks? Perfect. Willie has a new flight bag. Has Willie got a new flight bag? Does he have a new flight bag? And has he a new flight bag? That's good. The police has several bomb detectors. Have the police got any bomb detectors? Good. Do they have any bomb detectors? And have they any bomb detectors? Perfect. The porter has some baggage checks. Has the porter got any baggage checks? Does he have any baggage checks? And has he any baggage checks? Okay, one more. The children have toys for the flight. Have the children got toys for the flight? Great. Do the children have toys for the flight, or do they have toys for the flight? And have they toys for the flight? That's perfect. Good job. In the last couple of lessons, we've used the verb have in some new expressions. Remember, Raul was having a drink at the bar, and the passengers were having breakfast in the cafeteria. Okay, look at the graphic. You'll see several more expressions that we commonly use in English, and they all use the verb have. Have plus things to eat, drink, and smoke. For example, have plus a meal, a beer, a cup of coffee, a snack, a bite to eat, a cigarette. Have plus some action or event. Have plus a walk, a rest, a swim, a vacation, a day off, a great time, a ball, a party. Have a look. And then have a talk, which means to have a chat with somebody, right? Have a baby, to give birth to a baby, and have a good flight, have a good trip, have a pleasant journey. All very common. So let's try an exercise. In this exercise, you must complete sentences using some of these have expressions. You'll see a group of these expressions listed in the graphic. Choose an appropriate expression to complete each sentence. For example, we blank last night. All of the guests enjoyed themselves. Could be completed with the expression, had a party, or had a ball. Right? We had a ball last night. We had a party last night. Another example. The children returned from the cafeteria. They said that they had a good meal, or they had a nice lunch. Pretty easy. All right? Now, pause your program, get your study guide, and continue the exercise. Let's review that exercise. You saw a sentence with a blank, and you picked an appropriate have verb and put it together. So, for example, you saw, we blank last night, all of the guests enjoyed themselves. And you wrote, we had a party last night, all of the guests enjoyed themselves. Or we had a ball. Right? Good. Next one. The children returned from the cafeteria. They said that they had a good meal or had a great lunch. Next, Maria and Raul ate in the restaurant, which did not permit smoking. After dinner, Raul had a cigarette outside, or maybe he had a cigar. Hideo likes physical exercise. Every morning, he usually has a swim. The passengers went to the bar to have a drink. Would you like to go to the cafe with me to have a cup of coffee or to have a snack? They heard a loud noise outside the restaurant, so they went outside to have a look. Great. My daughter flew to Paris yesterday. I hope she had a good flight. I hope she had a pleasant journey. Raul and Maria wanted to talk about everything. They went to the garden to have a chat, to have a talk. And finally, I guess Raul wanted to have a talk with her. That's good. Hello. In this lesson, we will take up some very important and very peculiar English adverbs, adverbs of intensity or amount. Intensity means strength or concentration. These are the words to, T-O-O, and very, and enough. Okay? We often use to and very before adjectives in English. We use, this coffee is very hot. And what we mean is, but I can still drink it. It's very hot, but I can still drink it. We use, that coffee is too hot. It's too hot, and I can't drink it. We can't drink it. Totally negative. Note, we can imagine a situation where the coffee is very hot and where we might still be able to drink it. We like hot coffee, even very hot coffee. But if the coffee is too hot, forget it. The result is negative. We can't drink it. We'll burn ourselves. All right. Repeat these sentences after me. Remember, speak aloud. The distance is too far to walk. I can't do it. The carton is too heavy for me. I can't lift it. The piano concerto is too hard. She can't play it. The cheese is too strong, the odor. They can't eat it. Good. Now listen carefully to these sentences. Although the coffee is very hot, I can drink it. The food is very spicy. Spicy means piquant. The food is very spicy, but I can still enjoy it. Even though the ladder is very high, she can climb it. The song is very complicated, but she can still sing it. All right, now look at the graphic. When somebody says too, in a sentence like, the car is too heavy, we are already thinking that the situation is or will be negative. Look at this. The car is too heavy for him to lift. The car is too heavy for the old bridge. And here are some more. The car is too old to drive. It's dangerous for somebody. The car is too old to keep. It's worthless for someone. And we see in all of these sentences, when to precedes an adjective, heavy, old, hard, strong, the expected results are negative. Now look at the structural possibilities with to. The situation is too dangerous. To plus an adjective. The skirt is too long for Maya. To plus adjective for someone. The coffee is too hot to drink. To plus adjective, and then a to verb, to drink. And the ice is too cold for him to hold. To plus adjective for somebody, to verb. Kind of complicated. All of these combinations are possible, and they're very common. Let's try a practice. And we'll practice with to in situations that are negative. That's right. This is an easy practice. I'll say the end of a to sentence. For example, for Maya to wear. Wear means to put on, clothes, right? For Maya to wear. You'll create the entire sentence with to. So, the skirt was too long for Maya to wear, or the dress was too large for Maya to wear, or the coat. Okay? Here's another one. For Raul to lift. And you'll say, the box was too large for Raul to lift. Or the carton was too heavy for Raul to lift. Okay? Here we go. For Maya to wear. That's right. The skirt was too long for Maya to wear. For Raul to lift. The car was too heavy for Raul to lift. Great. For you to drink. The coffee's too hot for you to drink. The coffee's too hot for you to drink. For Ersa to sing. Yes, the song was too difficult for Ersa to sing. For him to eat. The food was too spicy for him to eat. Good. For Yukiko to use. The ATM was too busy for Yukiko to use. or the ATM was too hard for Yukiko to use, too difficult. Good. For Hideo to drive, the car was too old for Hideo to drive. Good. And much too hot for Willie to drink. Yes, the tea was much too hot for Willie to drink. That's good. Now look at the word enough. We use enough in a special way for both negative and positive situations. Verb determines the situation. Enough follows adjectives and adverbs. In these situations, Ersa is not experienced enough to sing the song. However, Maya is experienced enough to sing the song. The kids aren't old enough to go to that movie. Raul is old enough to go to that movie, though. Now look, enough precedes a noun. Raul didn't have enough experience to play for the team. Ersa couldn't sing the song because she didn't have enough experience. And Raul went to the cinema because he had enough maturity. Enough followed by a noun. And then enough can be used without a noun. I'll pour some more coffee if you don't have enough. It means, of course, enough coffee. I'll pour some more coffee if you don't have enough. It looks as though Maya has enough. Same story. Okay? Time for an exercise. In this exercise, you will have a chance to practice writing sentences with enough. You will have to write the answers to the questions you see in the study guide. So, for example, you'll see the question, why can't Maya go to the movie? And the word old in parentheses. And you'll write, she can't go because she's not old enough. It's an R movie or something, right? She can't go because she's not old enough. Here's a second example. Why can't Raul go on vacation this year? Money. Raul can't go on vacation this year because he doesn't have enough money. He hasn't enough money. He hasn't got enough money. Raul can't go because he doesn't have enough money. It's pretty easy. Okay? Now, pause your program, look at the study guide, and complete the exercise. Return here afterwards. All right, let's review that exercise. You saw the question, why can't Maya go to the movie? And then the word old in parentheses. And you wrote an enough sentence. She can't go because she's not old enough. The next one, Raul can't go on vacation because he doesn't have enough money. Or he can't go because he doesn't have enough money. Next, we can't sit in the garden because it's not warm enough. Next, they can't join the team because they don't have enough experience. He doesn't want the job because he doesn't have enough time. All right? We didn't stop studying because we didn't learn enough. And we can't lift it because we're not strong enough. Perfect. Hello again. In this lesson, we will take up the future tense. Future means time to come, right? We often use time expressions to signal future tense, just as we use them to signal other tenses. There are two forms of the future tense in English. Look at the first form in this graphic. Form 1, future tense, be plus going to plus verb. Okay, the affirmative, I'm going to order a new pager this evening. She's going to order a cocktail before dinner. They're going to order when they see the waiter. Going to plus verb. Negative, he's not going to order a cocktail this evening. And then yes/no questions. Is she going to make the reservations? Yes, she is. No, she isn't. Pretty easy. Are we going to enjoy ourselves at the restaurant? Going to enjoy? Yes, we are. No, we aren't. And questions with WH words. What is she going to do? She's going to make reservations at the restaurant. Where are we going to eat? At the restaurant on the corner. Or we're going to eat at the restaurant on the corner. When are they going to pick us up? At 7 o'clock. Or they're going to pick us up at 7 o'clock. Note, these sentences all use contractions. Of course, they may be written in full form. The be plus going to future is used very often in speech. You'll often hear the contracted forms. Now look at the sentences in this graphic. They are also be plus going to, future tenses, but they don't look like it. Notice that there are no two verbs. Look, I'm going to the restaurant tonight. He's going to the restaurant tomorrow. We're not going to the restaurant for lunch. This is just a short form. The main verb go, to go, is missing. Look, we're not going to go to the restaurant for lunch. And we just truncate it, make it short. We're not going to the restaurant. Okay, let's practice orally some of these sentences. And in this practice, I'll give you the action verb and the information. So I'll say, order a cocktail before dinner. And you make the future sentence, right, with be plus going to. And it comes out like this. Tanya is going to order a cocktail before dinner, right? Or negative, Tanya isn't going to order a cocktail before dinner. Pretty easy. Here's another one. Eat lunch at Alfredo's. Tanya's going to eat lunch at Alfredo's. Or Tanya isn't going to eat lunch at Alfredo's. Okay? This should be fun. Here we go. Order a cocktail before dinner. She's going to order a cocktail before dinner. Okay. Eat lunch at Alfredo's. They're going to eat lunch at Alfredo's. Okay. Pick us up for dinner. Boris is going to pick us up for dinner. She's going to pick us up for dinner. Pay the dinner check. Serge is going to pay the dinner check. Go to the restaurant on the corner. They're going to go to the restaurant on the corner. Or they're going to the restaurant on the corner. Yeah. Have an appetizer for lunch. He's going to have an appetizer for lunch. Have a drink at the bar. Tatiana's going to have a drink at the bar. Sit in the no smoking section. We're going to sit in the no smoking section. Beautiful. Now look at this graphic. Form 2, future tense. This one is so easy. Will plus the verb, base form, right? There's no to in this form. Will is used for all persons, so it's very easy. Here's the affirmative. I will make lunch reservations tomorrow. I'll make lunch reservations tomorrow. She'll order from the daily specials on the menu. They'll be at the restaurant at 7:30. Almost always we contract these. Negative. I will not eat at the restaurant tomorrow, or I won't eat at the restaurant tomorrow. She won't be at the luncheon tomorrow. They won't order until the other guests arrive. You'll also hear, I'll not order, and they'll not be at the restaurant. Very contracted. Okay, questions? Yes and no. Will you order for all of us? Yes, I will. No, I won't. Will she pick us up at 8 o'clock? Yes, she will. Will they meet us at Alfredo's? No, they won't. And questions with WH words, right? What will you do in the evening? We'll go to a restaurant. Where will she take her guests? She'll take them to Alfredo's. When will we meet Marina? We'll meet her at 7 o'clock. Okay, now note, will is sometimes used as a stronger form than be plus going to. You will also hear, I shall go tomorrow, we shall order in a minute. Shall is usually only used with I and we, and it's a little stronger. It indicates intensity, intention. Yeah. Let's try another practice. And of course, this time we'll use will plus a verb in the future form. You'll hear, order lunch for all of us. And you'll make the sentence, they will order lunch for all of us. She will order lunch for all of us. Marina will order lunch for all of us. Pretty simple stuff, right? Another one, meet the guests at the restaurant. We will meet the guests at the restaurant, okay? Here we go. Order lunch for all of us. Marina will order lunch for all of us. Perfect. Meet the guests at the restaurant. Serge will meet the guests at the restaurant. Pick us up at 7. They will pick us up at 7. Good. Order from the special menu. Tanya will order from the special menu. Take a taxi to the restaurant. I will take a taxi to the restaurant. Have a drink at the bar. Marina will have a drink at the bar. Eat lunch at Alfredo's. They will eat lunch at Alfredo's. Call a waitress to the table. Boris will call a waitress to the table. That's very good. Are we ready for an exercise? Yes. In this exercise, you will practice both forms of the future tense. So you'll see sentences which need future verbs. Use be plus going to and a verb form in the first group. For example, you'll see the visitors blank go to a restaurant tonight, and you'll use going to and write the visitors are going to go to a restaurant tonight, or the visitors are going to a restaurant tonight, the short one, going to illustration. Okay? In the second group, of course, you will use will plus the verb. So you will see we blank go to a restaurant tonight, and you use the will form and write we will go to a restaurant tonight. Easy, huh? Put your program on pause, look at the study guide, and complete the exercise. Return here when you're finished. Let's review that exercise. We used going to and will. First group, going to. The visitors are going to go to a restaurant tonight. Next, Tanya is going to pick us up at 8 o'clock. They are going to order an appetizer with their drink. We are going to have fish for dinner this evening. I am going to meet my friends at Alfredo's tomorrow. Good. And then the second group, you used will and the verb. So you have Professor Hill and Mrs. Zernis will order for everybody. Yukiko will invite Hideo to the party. She will order the entire dinner for both of us. They will take the bus to the restaurant. And the menu on Friday will be a special one. Very good. Hello again. In this lesson, we will compare the two present tense verb uses and the future tense uses. This is really a review lesson. Look at the graphic. Comparing simple present, present continuous, and future verb tenses in English. Affirmative sentences. Maria drives to the office every day, present tense. In fact, she is driving to the office right now, present continuous. She's going to drive to the office tomorrow, future. She will drive to the office all next week, also future. Now let's look at the negative sentences. Hideo doesn't use his automobile very often, present. Yukiko isn't using hers at the moment, present continuous. They're not going to use hers on the trip, future. And they probably won't use his on the trip either, the other future. In many cases, time expressions signal verb tense. Words like everyday, daily signal present tense. Now you know, by heart, signals ing forms continuous. And tomorrow and next week are future signals. So let's do a little practice. We'll practice these forms aloud, and I'll make affirmative statements. You make the statement negative. It's very easy, but it's good practice. So, she drives to school on Mondays. You make it negative. She doesn't drive to school on Mondays, right? They are taking the expressway to Boston. They aren't taking the expressway to Boston. Okay? Here we go. She drives to school on Mondays. She doesn't drive to school on Mondays. Perfect. They are taking the expressway to Boston. They aren't taking the expressway to Boston. That's right. Hideo will buy new tires for his car next week. Yes, Hideo won't buy new tires for his car next week. Maya is going to ride to work with Yukiko. Yeah, the negative, Maya isn't going to ride to work with Yukiko. The students are learning to drive in their high school. Negative, the students are not learning to drive in their high school. Yukiko's taking driving lessons. Okay, she isn't taking driving lessons, or Yukiko isn't taking driving lessons. Many people in the suburbs drive to work every day. Yes, and many people in the suburbs don't drive to work every day. Perfect, and a good job. Now take a look at the graphic. Yes/no questions are quite simple. By now you should be experts. Look at these present tense statements. Yukiko usually rides to work with Tanya. Does Yukiko usually ride to work with Tanya? Question form. They usually drive to work on the expressway. Do they usually drive to work on the expressway? Simple present tense. Does for singular, do for plurals. Now, look at the other tenses. You are driving on the wrong side of the center line now. He is going to take driving lessons tomorrow. The students will learn to drive in high school. And these all make question forms the same way by inversion. So you are driving becomes are you driving? The next one, is he going to take driving lessons? And will the students learn to drive in high school? Now look at the comparisons in this graphic. Note that these WH questions also use does and do for simple present questions, and the subject-verb inversion for the other tenses. What car do you usually drive? Present tense, right? What are you doing? Present continuous. And what are you going to do tomorrow night? Future. Or what will you do next Monday? Future. And look at the other WH question words. When do you usually drive to work? Where are they driving in such a rush? Why are they going to ride in the back seat? And which car will they drive to Boston? All right? I'd say it's time for an exercise. In this exercise, you will write the WH questions for each statement. Each sentence in your study guide will have a few words underlined. The underlined words signal which WH question word you should use. You must write the WH word question. Okay? Look at this graphic. Yukiko usually drives to work every day. Drives is underlined. It's the action word. So the WH word is what? What does Yukiko usually do every day? Hideo is riding with Yukiko to save energy. To save energy is underlined. It's a reason, an explanation. So the question word is why. Why is Hideo riding with Yukiko? To save energy. She's going to drive to Boston on Monday. On Monday is underlined, signaling time when. So the question, when is she going to drive to Boston? And finally, they will drive to Boston next week. To Boston is underlined. That's a place or a location, so the where question word is appropriate. Where will they drive next week? Pretty good, huh? Okay, so put your program on pause, look at your study guide, and please do the exercise. Come back here and we'll review it. Let's review that exercise. You saw Yukiko usually drives to work every day, and drives was underlined. So you knew you needed to use the what question word. And when you made the question, you wrote, what does Yukiko usually do every day? Next one. Why is Hideo riding with Yukiko? Remember, to save energy, right? Next one. When is she going to drive to Boston? Where will they drive next week? What are they doing now? When will they practice driving? Where does Maya ride with Yukiko? Where are they going to look? Why will they drive to Boston? And what do you never do? Good. Hello. In this lesson, we will consider some special uses of the auxiliary verb will. We will learn more auxiliary verbs as we proceed. Sometimes they're called modal auxiliaries. They modify the verb, basically. Look at this diagram. We use the modal auxiliary will in the following situations. Requests. Will you open the door, please? Will you cash this traveler's check for me? We use them for offers. We'll gladly help you with your bags. We will. We'll gladly help you with your bags. I'll leave the light on for your return. And promises. I'll write as soon as I arrive in London. We'll repay this loan as soon as possible. Notice, sometimes parents or superiors make offers for children or others like, Mary will help you with your bags, won't you, Mary? Sometimes will is used to show a clear decision or volition. I have made my final decision. I will go to London next week. Okay? A practice. Let's put some of these uses of will to work. In this practice, I'll give you clues for making requests. I'll say, give me some information. And you use will and make a request like, will you please give me some information? Or, will you give me some information, please? Another example, I'll say, open the door for them. And you'll say, will you please open the door for them? Or will you open the door for them, please? Okay, let's try some of these. Give me some information. Will you give me some information, please? Good. Open the door for them. Will you please open the door for them? Great. Sing a song for us. Will you sing a song for us, please? Good. Help me open a bank account. Will you please help me open a bank account? Print this letter for me. Will you print this letter for me, please? Withdraw $500 from my savings account. Will you please withdraw $500 from my savings account? Shut the door after you leave. Will you please shut the door after you leave? Good. Mail this letter for me. Will you mail this letter for me, please? That's great. Now, look at the sentences in this graphic. These sentences demonstrate or show some expressions which are very common with the verb will. In a sense, these sentences show how we predict events in the future. Predict means guess or think about. So the idea of future is very important. All persons, right? It, they, you, he, etc. The year will probably be a happy one. The year will probably be a happy one. She'll probably drive to Boston. Now here's another one, restricted to I and we. I'm sure you will like the job. Or, I'm sure that you will like the job. We're certain that you'll like him. And I expect the company will profit from it. Or we expect that she'll arrive tomorrow. Or we expect she'll arrive tomorrow. Now here's another one, restricted to I and you. I think he'll win the election easily. Do you think he'll win the election easily? Now let's practice a few of these expressions. I'll give you information and expressions to use, and you'll make the sentences. Look at the graphic for the forms. I'm sure that, or I'm certain that, we're sure or we're certain, then I expect or we expect, I think or we think. Okay? So I'll say, play tennis. What will they do tomorrow? Think. You'll say, I think they'll play tennis tomorrow. Good. Okay? Let's try these. Play tennis. What will they do tomorrow? Think. I think they'll play tennis tomorrow. Or we think they'll play tennis tomorrow. To Boston. Where will they go Monday? Expect. I expect they'll go to Boston on Monday. Perfect. By Tuesday. When will they return? Think. Good. I think they'll return by Tuesday. Go skiing. What will he do? Certain. I'm certain he'll go skiing. Yeah. Or sure. I'm sure he'll go skiing. Take a taxi. What will she do? Sure. I'm sure she'll take a taxi. That's a good job. Now let's write some sentences which contain these expressions and the auxiliary verb will. An exercise. In this exercise, you'll see questions and expression cues. You will write the answer to the questions using the proper cues, just as we did in the last practice. So you will see, what will they do tomorrow? Take a ride? Probably. So you'll write, they'll probably take a ride tomorrow. They will. They'll probably take a ride tomorrow. Another example, you'll see, when will they leave? By 10 a.m., expect. And you'll write, I expect they'll leave by 10 a.m. Not bad, huh? Pause your program, look at the study guide, and continue the exercise. Then return here. Let's review sentences with the auxiliary verb will. You saw information like, what will they do tomorrow? Take a ride? Probably. And you made the sentence. They'll probably take a ride tomorrow. Or they will probably take a ride tomorrow. Good. Next one. I expect they'll leave by 10 a.m. I'm certain they'll stay at the Ritz. They'll probably say nothing. I'm sure they'll write it by Tuesday, and I expect it will take place at the airport. And finally, I think they'll want to return. Very good job. Hello again. In this lesson, we'll continue our use of auxiliary verbs, or modal verbs. May and might are the two verbs. And we'll also look at the adverb maybe. Notice that maybe is one word. Listen to these three short sentences. The children may go to the movie tomorrow. Rebecca might work in a bank. Maybe the mail carrier will deliver the letter today. Listen once more. The children may go to the movie tomorrow. May is the modal or helping verb. May go to the movie. Rebecca might work in a bank. Might is also a modal. Might work. Maybe the mail carrier will deliver the letter today. And maybe, single word adverb at the beginning of a sentence. Okay. Now, this diagram explains the use of these words. In English, we use these three words to express possibility. These words can also involve the idea of future time. So look at may. Louis may go to the soccer game later or tomorrow, right? It may snow next month. The children may be in class tomorrow. The children may be in class now, today. May plus the verb can be used for both present and future. Take a look at might. Louis might go to the soccer game tomorrow. It might snow next month. The children might be in class tomorrow. The children might be in class now. Might plus verb also for both present and future. Now look at maybe. Maybe Louis will go to the soccer game tomorrow. Maybe the children will be in class tomorrow. Maybe it will snow next month. Maybe it is going to snow next month. Maybe it will snow next month. Maybe it will verb. Maybe it going to plus verb. Maybe it is going to snow next month. It's important to distinguish between the auxiliary verb phrase, may, and the verb be, and the single word adverb maybe. In normal speech, the adverb maybe is pronounced without a pause. The verb phrase may be contains a slight pause. So maybe it will snow tomorrow, no pause, right? And it may be a snowy day tomorrow. Okay. These words are commonly used in everyday English conversation. Now look at the questions. What will Louis do in the morning? What is Rebecca going to do next week? What are you going to do Sunday? What will they do if it rains Saturday? Two things are important about these simple questions. They use both future tense forms, will and going to, and they can all be answered with these three favorite expressions of ours using may, might, and the adverb maybe. So, what will Louis do in the morning? Answer, he may play soccer. What is Rebecca going to do next week? She might dine at a restaurant. What are you going to do Sunday? Maybe I'll stay home. And what will they do if it rains Saturday? They might bring the picnic indoors. Indoors means inside the house, right? Okay? All right, let's try practice. This practice is really very simple. I'll ask a question and give you information for the answer. You answer it, but use may or might or the adverb maybe at the beginning. Okay? For example, what are you going to do tomorrow? Dine at a restaurant. I might dine at a restaurant, or I may dine at a restaurant. How about this? What is Louis going to do next week? Go to Chile. Maybe he's going to go to Chile next week. Okay, let's try it. What are you going to do tomorrow? I may dine at a restaurant. Perfect. What is Louis going to do next week? Maybe he's going to go to Chile. Okay. What are they going to do tonight? They might play the piano, or they may play the piano. Right. What will you do at the office? I may exchange some traveler's checks. Or maybe I'll exchange some traveler's checks. What are we going to do if it rains? Yes, maybe we'll evacuate the area. What will the mail carrier do? He might carry a raincoat. What are they going to do Sunday? Maybe they'll drive to Boston. That's great. All right, let's do an exercise. In this writing exercise, you'll have a chance to write sentences using our favorite expressions. For this exercise, however, limit your sentences so that you use future time expressions, like tomorrow, next week, tonight, this afternoon. So use may, use might, and use maybe, with will or going to. You'll see dine at Alfredo's, and you'll write, I may dine at Alfredo's next week. You'll see take a driving examination or test, right? You'll write, maybe Louis is going to take a driving examination next month. Okay? Good. Pause your program, look at your study guide, and complete the exercise. Then return here. Let's review this exercise with may, might, and maybe. You saw the information dine at Alfredo's, and you used the modals or the adverb maybe to construct the sentence. So, I may dine at Alfredo's next week, you wrote, or I might dine at Alfredo's next week. Next one, maybe Louis is going to take a driving examination next month. We might open a savings account tomorrow. She may deliver the mail this afternoon. They might exchange some money tomorrow. Maybe we'll order a drink at the bar tonight. We might have an appetizer with our cocktails tonight. They may go to the no smoking section this afternoon. Maybe Hideo and Yukiko will get married next month. We might do exercise 25 correctly next week.